welcome to another video, which has been a while again. My apologies. Just been having a lot of events and stuff going on that I didn't really have the time and felt too drained to make videos, especially like the flashback events where I started. I really wanted to make videos about those. Since I did pretty good, I got 3 demis in total. I got 2 in Mayhem, the first one, and then I got 1 in flashback. So it was pretty good, not the greatest, made quite a bit of mistakes, but I was going to make a video talking about how to dodge the mistakes I made and how to improve and stuff like that, but pretty much right after the flashback events there was another old school RuneScape race going on from Method, which I really wanted to join since that game I like racing on there as well. I ended up with 2 rank 2 finishes, which is pretty nice as well, and pretty close for rank 1 even, like it came down to the last minute in like a 5-day race or something like that, which is pretty insane. Like I was really hyped, really nice race, but yeah, then that came right after, drained again, not too much sleep, and then pretty much had to get ready for League Star for Ritual, so didn't have too much time. Maybe if some people want, I can still make videos about those, but most likely not. Now for the League Star for Ritual, also why there's no video, since this time I actually decided to play in a group rather than playing solo, which is what I always do, since I've always planned to see how it feels like to play in a group, push currency together, stuff like that, since I really wanted the experience to know what they do differently, learn a couple of things and stuff. So I had 2 people who joined the guild I was in recently. Their name is Chuba and Bazam, which if you've seen pure racing before, especially Trade Softcore, you've definitely seen their names before, since they're one of the top racers. They have a lot of race awards in every league, a lot of rank 1 finishes and stuff like that, so I could really not ask for a better team. So as soon as they hit me up, I was like, yeah, I'm down for it, I'm ready to go. And then we also had a trader, which his name in the guild here is Indeed. He's traded for a couple of groups in the past. I think he's traded for Empyrean's group before, some other top groups as well, so he definitely has quite a bit of experience. So it was a really good team, quite happy with how the team turned out as well. Since it's 4-man, I didn't really want a team that's too big, so I think 4-man is a really good spot to stop at. Since the split will be bigger as well, of course, since if you're starting to do 8-man teams, you gotta remember that everything you make will be split towards to 8 people rather than 4, so there's that. Now, how did it go? What tips can I give that they gave me pretty much? So first of all, our party composition. I played an Aura bot, which is the first time for me. Never played support before. And then the carry played the Ranger with Rain of Arrows and Magic Find, and then the third guy, he was gonna end up playing a Curse bot, but for the first couple of days he played Cremation solo to push his Atlas. I'll talk more later about the Atlas strategy, but he was playing solo till much later on, so he did Cremation. Now as for my build, so the POB, I think I have it open here. So first of all, before I even opened them, the guys gave me this POB. Since they play in the group a lot, so they know what they're doing, so I just had to follow pretty much their guide. So leveling pre-24, since at 24 is when I went Aura support already, so at this middle of Act 3. Pretty generic skill tree. I mean, it's just getting all the Aura reservation nodes so you can fit in the auras, and Early Equilibrium at Abril Fire, so you can start doing Elemental Equilibrium. Be sure that whatever you hit with, so if you go Avatar Fire, you only have fire damage. Make sure that your carry has lightning and cold damage, else you give them a big penalty with that. And then these 3 nodes, I mean, you take them early for leveling, but you respec them afterwards, so when you go Aura support. So pretty straightforward. And then the default 3, I mean, you just fill in some extra life nodes and stuff like that, and that's pretty much it. The skill gems is very straightforward. The only important thing is this setup. So you run Anger and Wrath, and then with Smite, you just hit once to get the buff, and then Generosity just to give more effect to your allies, and then just movement skill, Precision if you can fit it in, Clarity, and Vigilant Strike with General Strike to keep up Fortify. Then the items, this item is 1 Chaos, super early on, 55 all rest, so it really helps you a lot with rest capping. And the rest is just life and resist, like anything you pick up from the floor pretty much. Didn't even use this amulet, so this also is like not really needed. You can put a rare there. So very straightforward. Then the next step, it's very detailed. They made a couple POBs. I'll put all of them in the description. This is when you go low life. So you pyramid the skill tree. You just respec the life nodes to ES nodes pretty much. Maybe a couple of niche changes here and there. But the items, so these are the items. I didn't even use Soul Catcher. I mean, you could, but you don't really have to. Couple of medium clusters. Again, don't go for the perfect jewel, just something that's decent enough. Like, the biggest trend with league starter builds, especially if you're pushing for currency, you want to just get enough invested in your build to make it work, and that's it. Like, you don't want to min-max these builds, assuming you're playing for currency, of course, so that's a big thing. The only expensive items you needed to go low life is Alpha's Howl and Prism Guardian, which are usually around 30 to 40 chaos, I think, at the start. The rest is really cheap. I mean, you loot Sora's Lorca as a chaos, this is like a chaos. These can be like 10c, but I didn't even use them since I just got like a rare boot with decent ES, pretty much it. This is pretty cheap as well, like most things here are pretty cheap. And then there's one more transition, which is here, which is when you really get your cluster jewels going. You just want Vengeful Commander on the largest, and then, I mean, you can see the mods on the other ones, but you have a couple clusters, and then some pretty much ES nodes is the rest of the tree, so it's pretty straightforward. The items as well, the biggest upgrade is the Shavs. I'll talk more about this later, but I mean, it doesn't need to be linked. I don't know why it shows 6 link here, but you don't need a 6 link, you just need the Shavs for some extra ES. And then again, the rest of the gear is pretty much the same. So for me, it went really well. I mean, it was very good with the POB, had no issues at all. The strategy, so early on, it was to get to tier 2 towers, and then me and the carry would just magic find tier 2 towers, while the third guy was playing a solo build, and he's setting up his Atlas, so we can do tier 11 ports. So he was getting the Beyond on the map device and stuff like that. So it went pretty good. I think we did towers for 2 days or something like that, and we managed to get enough money to get all the basic gear like Alpha's Howl and stuff like that to go low life like pretty fast. And then we got our Headhunter like Sunday evening pretty much, so it was around like pretty much 48 hours after league start or something, which is definitely like really good in my eyes. I think they usually get it a bit faster even than that, but this was still really good. We made quite a bit of money already. As for day one as well, I forgot to mention the leveling. So a big thing that really helped was we did some practice runs before the league start, and again, even as a solo player, I do recommend doing this. You don't have to do all 10 acts on a practice run, but especially act 1, 2, 3, and maybe even 4 and 5, because those are the acts where most people will lose the most time, since there's a lot of gem switching around, gear switching around, stuff like that. So you definitely want to get that down. So for me, not only am I a little bit slower than these guys, since of course they're top racers, so every here and there I'll lose like a minute or 30 seconds, and during 10 acts, of course, that will add up, as you would imagine. And not only that, I'm also on the Scion, which early on is really bad, because you don't really get any damage nodes almost, so it's a bit rougher, but again, we're in a group, so one thing that for me was pretty much the bottleneck, that since you never have this issue when playing solo, is Act 2, you definitely want to kill enough stuff when you're in a group, because else you're going to get behind on XP, and the XP penalties are really going to start hurting you a lot. So, because since in Act 2 you split up a lot in a group, everyone runs like one way, so you skip learning a lot of zones solo, so you lose a lot of XP in that sense. So that was a big thing for me, having to keep up with XP, and knowing the zones to farm for XP, since in a group, in most zones you don't really have to all run the same zone all the time. You can just have one guy progressing to the boss, and then the other guys can farm for XP or gear or something like that, and then the guy just TPs you in, right? So I definitely learned quite a bit of things for leveling in a group, especially. Now, the leveling still went really good. I mean, on League Start, I guess everyone had server issues, which I'm sure you're aware of. For us, it hit quite hard in Act 2 already, where first another guy in my group DC'd, then he was stuck in a queue for quite a while, like 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Then right after he got in, I pretty much got DC'd, and I was stuck in a queue for 10 to 15 minutes, so we lost quite a bit of time in the queue, but even with all that, we still made it 2 maps, and I want to say it was around 4 hours. I'm not quite sure if I remember. If I got a picture, I'll throw it up on the screen. But then also during mapping, for the first time ever, with tab/ladder, you see like the top 10. So for the first time ever, I actually was in there. Even with all the server issues we had, we were still in the top 10, which is pretty insane. Because usually I'm like half an hour behind. I'm sure most people are probably a lot more behind than that, since those guys at the top go pretty hard. They have everything down. They practice a lot, of course, which most people don't do. But the leveling went really smooth. I mean, again, the POB for the aura bot, really nice, really detailed. So I didn't have too many issues at all with anything pretty much. And then we started doing tier 2 flowers again, like I said, got our headhunter, everything. At that point, our third guy had his atlas pretty much set up. So we started buying the extra gear we needed to do tier 11 content. So I upgraded from my Solaris Lorica finally. So as you can see, I was already like level 93 with a Solaris Lorica, so you really don't need much gear depending on the content you're running. But then when we did tier 11 ports, I really needed the extra ES from the shavs, so we got the shavs, we got some better cluster jewels, got some more damage and MF items for the carry as well. So it made everyone's gear a little bit better. And at that point it was just doing tier 11 ports, magic find, rolling the maps good, adding all the juice, so everything there. And that's when we started really making nice money, dropping a lot of cards, a lot of nice items, like stuff like that. And we did that I think for like 2 days, like 2 full days. Made quite a lot of money. I think we already made like 2 mirrors. I can't remember. It was like 150x I think day 1. And then whatever we made day 2 still and counting. But at that point we also saw that 5-way sets were really cheap and the items that dropped there were really expensive. So after a bit of thinking, we were like, yeah, we should definitely switch to doing 5-ways because we'll make a lot more money in there, at the time at least. So that's what we did. Our carry respec to self-curse temp chains, which I have a couple of videos about the build on my channel, so if you're interested in a build like that, I have quite a few videos going over it. So we respect into that for the 5-ways. I still stayed as an aura bot, and our third guy just put on XP gears to level gems, since don't really need a curse bot in there. And then we just kept doing 5-ways. Again, we have a trader, so while we were running them, he was selling the sets and everything. So while we were running, he was selling the sets. I also started buying the sets on my alt account since the trader had too much work with selling all the items that were dropping in there. I mean, if you have done 5-ways before, you know what I'm talking about. There's so much loot that drops in there, so it's a lot of trading. On top of that, we're also all leveling a lot of gems, which are selling like crazy as well. We made so much money from the gems leveling as well. So it was really good. As for levels, so first, I think I got like 93 doing the tier 2 towers, which is a lot of tower maps. And then from the ports, I think I got to 96, from tier 11 port that is, so again, that's pretty slow XP. And then at 96 is when we switched to 5-ways, so got level 100 pretty much the first day we switched to 5-ways since they're really insane for XP. And I'm gonna pull up your racing over here, since even without really pushing for XP, we still managed to get like around rank 20 something. Yeah, so our first guy is rank 21. I mean, this is what I'm saying, like as a count he has so many race rewards, as you can see. And then you have here I am, so my ascendant aura bot was rank 3 ascendant as well. He still got rank 5 occultist. And then our carry is over here, rank 29. No, he was originally gonna get 23, but we went to sleep when he was like level 99 with 80%. Since again we're not pushing for XP, so it doesn't really matter, but it's still cool to be up here at the top. So he ended up as a raider, but he played Deadeye, didn't really like the changes that they made to Deadeye after that. So since we're only playing for currency, we kept playing on the level 100 characters for another like 2 days or something, which is probably more than enough to get another level 100 in 5-ways. I mean, pretty easily even. But then eventually we had like a day left or something of 5 farming, and we decided since most of us are not going to play the Ascendancy we're on, like I'm probably not going to play an Ascendant, same with our carry, he was not going to play a Ranger, so we decided to reroll into the builds that we're most likely going to play. So most of us, that was a Shadow, since I'm going to go Saboteur, I think the other guys might go Assassin. So we decided to reroll, but then still do 5-ways with the same gear. So that's what we did. As you can see, here are our next set of characters. So we got again still pretty high on the leaderboard. So Sabo, Trickster. I mean, he respects because I think he's already making his minor build at the moment. And this Vox guy was also with us. He came to reach level 100, but he leveled gems for us. In the meantime, that was pretty much it. Enough rambling. Time for what you're all probably waiting for, is how much money did we actually end up making. So first of all, I mean the characters. So we both got 2 level 100s. Should have easily been 3, but we didn't want to spend the time to reroll on the character and lose like 4 hours of money making or something like that. So we got 2, which is still very insane for the first week each. And then the money we made. So here is my stash at the moment. So first of all, we pretty much split everything. So my stash was completely empty, and then we started splitting everything equally. So everyone has 100 balls, 25, like even the small currency we also split. So everything here is like a fourth of what everyone has. 2 mirrors, 38x, 1000 chaos. I mean, this is still gonna go up since our trader is still pulling overtime. He's still selling a lot of stuff. We still have so much stuff selling, so I wouldn't be surprised if I get another 20x on top of this. So all in all, I'd say with the currency altogether, we probably made like 2.5 mirrors each. So all 4 of us, so that's like 10 mirrors total made in a group. The rest from my stash, I mean, we all have so many incubators. If you do 5 ways, you know how many of these you get. We didn't even pick up all of them, and we still have too many. The scarabs, we also split these, so everyone got about the same amount. Cards, I mean, these are just the 1 chaos cards left pretty much. The rest we all sold. Essence empty, false empty, all gone. We have some leveling gear we decided to keep since all of us will probably level more characters. The maps, we also split this equally. Of the maps we have left, we sold most maps we got, and we still had quite a few just to kickstart our Atlas, since I have 2 watchstones. Definitely gonna need some work to progress my stuff. Next, so these are still selling. These are still need to be split. Selling these while traders selling other stuff still. Contracts, we also each split some of the contracts so we can heist a little bit and level our guys in there. And then I think the rest of the tabs should be empty, if I'm not mistaken. Oil's empty, empty, and empty. Yeah, and then the uniques I don't use, so that's all my tabs. So everything's clean and ready to start playing solo. So it was really insane. I mean, 10 mirrors in total pretty much, I'm gonna assume. Is a lot more than I thought we would make, personally. I think the other guys were pretty much expecting something like this. I think Chuba and Pazam last league they made even more than this. I think they also played in a 4-man, I don't quite remember, but the thing last league is they got mirrors for a lot cheaper than they are this league as well. Last league they were buying them for anywhere between 60 to 100 exalts, I think, or 70 to 100 exalts, something like that, whereas this league, I mean, our first mirror we got for 101. And then we got a couple around the 120 mark, and then our last was like 140 and stuff like that. So they were quite a bit more expensive than normal, but we still managed, and definitely very happy with the results. I mean, 2 level 100s, 2.5 mirrors, what more do you want? So now the question is finally time to start playing solo pretty much. So I have quite a lot of work since, yeah, the issue is my Atlas is nowhere near progressed. I mean, I do have decent completion since I ran with the carry quite a few times, but I only have 2 watchstones. I've pretty much done nothing. I mean, my challenges are probably, yeah, I just have some random challenges, did like nothing at all. Didn't even get any of these really. So gonna be fun, time to start experiencing in the league. I think my first build, for those curious, is most likely gonna be a Glacial Cascade Miner. So this character has level 100. I'm gonna respec it to Saboteur and try like a low life variant of Glacial Cascade. I don't really want to spend too much money on it. I want to keep it relatively budget. I'm looking to spend maybe around 20x, maybe even less than that. Probably even less than that, to be honest. So I'm gonna respec this, see how it is, progress my Atlas, do some bossing, experiment with all the new stuff, and probably make an update video tomorrow or the day after that with how I'm doing and the goals for the league. So see you then.